In this episode, I talked to Alex Horsman about getting started in SEO, learning about SEO, and then working at an 8-figure e-com brand. But really, we focus on email marketing and converting leads to paying clients, and overall removing your dependence from Google and focusing a little bit more on email. This is the first part of our discussion, so be sure to check out part 2, where we focus on link building in a slow yet highly effective way that's really hard for your competitors to recreate, and it's based on ideas from Trust Me, I'm Lying, but that's part 2. So let's get into part 1, and we'll talk about email marketing. Welcome to the Ranking Revolution podcast, your go-to source for strategies and ideas for SEO, organic growth, content creation, and online business. I'm Doug Cunnington, your host. Alex Horsman got his start in SEO 8 years ago as a link builder and climbed his way up to becoming the head of marketing for an 8-figure e-commerce brand. 4 years ago, he decided to build his own affiliate sites on the side, with his biggest one reaching $40K per month. He's now a self-proclaimed affiliate marketer turned marketer, as he's realized SEO is just one piece of the marketing puzzle. He's had his teeth kicked in by Google many times, like many of us have, and now he focuses on slow, sustainable growth, both for his projects and his clients. So today, we're going to talk about list building. We're going to talk about lead magnet optimization, and we'll also get into link building and brand mentions and a specific approach that Alex has found super effective in the sort of larger media world, and we'll get into all the details. So, Alex, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good, Doug. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to chat despite everything going on in the SEO world right now.
And to just lay the foundation, it's May of 2024, so a lot is going on. There's a lot of uncertainty in the SEO world, and it kind of, fits in with some of the topics we're covering, but not specifically. Like, we want to make sure people can get value from this in 6 months or 18 months or even a couple years from now. So, Alex, I want to get into the details of how you got started with marketing or SEO. And actually, you could even go back to like the education or any kind of training that you had, just to let us know how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, so I was at the University of Missouri. I was a junior, and I was at University of Missouri, Mizzou, and they had a job board called Hire Mizzou Tigers. And I was looking for a part-time job, and I came across a role for a digital marketing agency to do link building for them. And I had no idea what that meant, but they were looking for someone to do link building for one of their clients that was in the outdoors niche. And so they were looking for people in the Midwest who are familiar with hunting, outdoors, camping, survival, all that good stuff. And while I wasn't too much of a practitioner myself, I at least understood the topic. So I applied for the position, ended up getting it. Funny enough, I was also in charge of the Instagram, but got let go of that part within 3 to 6 months because I'm a terrible creative. So I got started this 9 years ago now, when I first started link building. And after I graduated from the university, I moved out to Bali, Indonesia to work underneath the agency's owner one-on-one. It became much more of like a mentorship mentee. And that's kind of what took me from there. Everything just like the growth was exponential because I was able to work underneath someone who scaled SEO, websites and SEO firsthand. I was working underneath them, living in a shack, making very little money, but my skills just grew tremendously. So from there, I then gave a talk. I was part of a mastermind called Dynamite Circle. And so I gave a talk in Bangkok. And I kind of got a sense of, I just didn't feel authentic when giving the talk because everything I taught was not relatable to people within the mastermind who are small business owners or solopreneurs. I was like, hey, I'm doing it for this 8-figure e-commerce brand. Like, just spend more money and you'll be fine. Just buy more links, just write more content. So I ended up building out my own, like after that conference, I went back to Bali, and the next week I built my first affiliate site. because I just wanted to put myself in those shoes and actually learn firsthand what it took to build one of these sites. Very different building a site from scratch versus, being a senior director or a head of marketing. So after I built that site, I've been kind of down the affiliate marketing route, building my own content sites, ever since. That was about 4 years ago when I built my first one.
Perfect. That was my next question. So about 4 years ago, and shout out to Tropical MBA and Dynamite Circle. I was in there for a few years, but that's a side story. We could talk about it offline. But I realized, a lot of people in the DC Dynamite Circle they're pretty growth minded, or at least on the front face of the community. There's a lot of people doing interesting, like very, again, high growth and scaling in mind. And I'm in a downshift situation. So I went to an event and I was just like, my goal this year is to do less work, which just doesn't fit very well. I think there's actually a lot of people in the DC that have the same mindset, but you don't hear that on the front and you sound weak if you're just like, I'm cruising, right? But it's an interesting brand because, part of it is like location independent entrepreneurs, time freedom. And then the other side is like, I want to have an 8-figure business. And I'm like, I don't want to have an 8-figure business. I want to have what I'm doing and I have a shitload of free time. So anyway, that's a story for another day. Any thoughts?
I could riff on that for hours. I think that I'm reading a book right now called Slow Productivity by Cal Newport, I believe his last name is. And I won't touch on this too much, but one of the concepts that he talks about is working at a natural pace and how it's okay to ebb and flow. Like, 3 years ago, if you asked me, I wanted to own an 8-figure business. This year, if you ask me, I want to work 20 hours a week. It kind of, I'm probably about to get married. Like, I kind of want to enjoy my life a little bit more. And then probably next year, maybe I ramp it back up, and that's okay. And so it speaks to what you're talking about. I also think a lot of people in the DC have, at least the people who have been around for a long time, a lot of them have kind of downshifted. You see the newcomers who have that energy and that heat, but people who have been around, they're like, there's more to life than, boatload of money.
Yep. Money will solve money problems, but it doesn't solve much else. All right. So those are deeper topics. We'll have to take their show. So couple quick things. So you said you started your first affiliate site 4 years ago when you were like, hey, I want to check this out. And it was as a result of speaking at DCBKK, sounds like.
Yep, exactly that.
Perfect. I didn't know you spoke there. That's really cool. I know that's one of their biggest events out there. So when you started this site, how did it go? And we'll just touch on this pretty quick since we're not going to focus too much on it, and we'll move into the lead magnet and sort of your email marketing approach. But 2020, COVID hit, there was, it was a different SEO landscape, and you got the site up to 40K per month, it sounds like. So just talk about like the overall approach and what it was like.
Yeah. So when I first started, I got kicked in the teeth, not by Amazon or not by Google, but by Amazon, because during COVID, they slashed their commissions from, I think, outdoors, because it was in the outdoor niche. I think it went from like 8 to 4%. And it was just as I was starting to get traffic, and I was like, holy shit, what is this affiliate marketing stuff? But it also showed me how little I knew whenever I started that site. Again, coming from this, it wasn't a corporate environment. It was still a small business, but doing 8 figures. There's just a lot of differences in terms of strategic planning of what actions you're going to take for what's going to bring in revenue. Again, when you're growth oriented and when you're, bootstrapped, you don't have the luxury of being like, we're going to spend 50 grand on links. We know it'll pay off in a year. Well, I kind of need revenue right now. So I actually don't think, in terms of SEO itself, I don't think it's changed too much. I think at the end of the day, content and links is still the name of the game, no matter if you're a B2B, if you're a local, or if you're an affiliate or an e-commerce brand. I still think that those two are the biggest levers that you can move. I think, however, the quality of both links and content has been or it needs to be significantly better than what it was in 2020. I think in 2020 and the years before that, if you could build links and if you could put keywords on the right spots within the page, you could get it to rank. I don't think that's the case anymore, as we've seen, but I still think those are the two biggest levers. If that answers the question.
Sure. That works. Like I said, those are topics that don't fit in this episode so well. And then everything's changed so much in the last few months. I'm not going to cover it. So, okay. Well, let's move on because I think email lists are like even more popular than they were. And a lot of people, not only saw how well they can do, but people are actually shifting because they lost the SEO traffic. So some people are scrambling, to your point, like people need the cash flow depending on how their business was running, their personal finances, many other details, and they can't spend 3 years building a YouTube channel. They need money to pay their rent and pay the bills and buy food and normal stuff that normal people need to do. So let's dive right into email capture and email marketing. So what's your overall approach if you just had to summarize it at a high level?
Yeah, the overall approach is whether you're on, whether it's SEO, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, get people on your damn email list. Because there is always risk. There's always platform risk, no matter where you're getting that traffic from. And the best way to get people on your email list is through a lead magnet. And that changes wildly depending on what page you're showing the lead magnet and what industry you're in. I know you've had Matt from Swim University on. I actually watched a lot of his stuff when I'm building out my first lead magnet. So for blogs, that's really going to be cheat sheets, something quick and easy to digest. B2B companies, go look at HubSpot. They crush at this. If you just go to HubSpot, you will be able to see everything that they do in terms of their sub or their sales silo versus their marketing silo versus their HR silo, and go look at what lead magnets they're offering. It's usually industry reports, some sort of statistics. Those do really well. That industry, and then e-commerce, the typical 10% off. That's still as much as people think it's dead, it's far from that, and it still has amazing opt-in rates. So that's really my approach, is just, again, no matter what platform you're advertising or marketing on, get them on your list. That's my main approach moving forward.
Great example with HubSpot. Do you have any other ways that you get ideas for highly effective lead magnets? And the thing is, we can go to ChatGPT or Gemini or wherever and actually get a pretty good list of that stuff, but there's no better way than looking at companies that are already doing it, have a look at the competition and go from there. So if you have any other examples, that would be great. Or a specific approach, like if someone's in they think it's a kind of a unique industry and they're like, well, it won't work for mine. So what approach might they take to go investigate what lead magnets do work?
Yeah, perfect. Great question. First thing I'm going to do is, if you have any sort of email list whatsoever, ask them. Just ask your audience, because those people who signed up for your email list and you didn't even give them something for free, if your form just said, sign up for my email, and they signed up, you want more of those people. You don't want to survey people who are coming to your site. You want to survey people who have already signed up for your list. So it's super simple. You just shoot an email to everybody and say, hey, I'm thinking about creating a lead magnet and want to offer you all more value. Where would you get the most value out of it? What I do is I use a tool called feedletter.co or feedletter.io. It's super cheap, $9 a month. And it allows you to place this quiz within the email. And I give them 3 to 4 options and then leave the last option open-ended. It'll say, if I'm in the fishing niche, there'd be, Bass Lures cheat sheet or fishing rod tips or, bank fishing tips, something along those lines. And then that last one is anything else. And when they click on that link, It takes them, they submit that response and then they can fill it out themselves and be like, actually, I would love to get X, Y, and Z. I really need help with this, and build it. Whatever wins. Typically, I find that there's one thing that really sticks out to people, and I just build it. So the first thing, if you have an existing email list, is ask your audience. Like, don't look elsewhere. Don't look at your competitors. Ask who's already on your email list. Now, if you don't have an email list existing right now, that's when I would go and look at competitors in your industry. Go look at those authority sites. So B2B, I'd like always defer to HubSpot because of how good they are. For, any sort of blog content, whether, the e-commerce section of your blog, or the blog section of your e-commerce store, or if you just have a content site, I would be looking at paintable.cc is a really good website that offers free lead magnets. It's all about painting, online painting, and they give you like these online brushes and these workshops, courses that teach you how to actually gain the skills. And those, I think they have like 5 to 10% often, right? It's really solid. And then for e-commerce, I like Gymshark. Gymshark could be improved, but they just do the classic 10% off on the website. Where they could improve is the blog section. So I think right now, if you're on the blog of their website, you still get that 10% opt-in bucks, but it's not necessarily the most strategic opt-in. And I bet you could increase it drastically. The example I shared was there's an article that they rank really well for about best arm workouts or how to get bigger arms. And, you land on the page, and then after 10, 30 seconds where you try and leave, that like, hey, do you want 10% off pops up? Like, no, I want bigger arms. That's why I'm on this article. I don't give a shit about your gym clothing. So, that could be optimized to where it's a cheat sheet or it's a workout, of the 10 best arm exercises. And then, you capture that email address, you throw them into a welcome series because clearly they go to the gym, they want bigger arms. And they'll probably be in store for gym clothing down the line, but at that particular point in time, that's not a lead magnet.
Perfect. And I love that example because there's a concept of the lead magnet, right? It's something free. You're talking about a cheat sheet. Generally, there's a couple other examples like the discount code. Sometimes people do like an ebook, which is kind of long, depending on the market. People are not going to read like 50 pages. Other people do like video courses, which take even more time. And again, people often, depending on the industry, might not spend the 5 hours in your course. They'll read like skim one sheet. That's what you need to do. But to your point, it's the concept of a content upgrade. So it's like a specific type of lead magnet. And like you're saying, if someone wants bigger arms, it's like download the cheat sheet to make your biceps and triceps 20% bigger by summertime or whatever, right? So then it's exactly, the person wants that information. So like, why not give them that cheat sheet?
Yeah.
Super simple.
Yep. 100%. And so it's hard to do like these content upgrades. I wouldn't do it for I actually tried this on one of our websites where I was like, okay, we're going to create a content upgrade for every single article that's getting over 1,000 visitors a month. And then I was like, very quickly, I realized how that was not feasible whatsoever because we would have had to create, 100+ lead magnets. So if you can at least find something within the category, going back to the workout example, how to get bigger arms, I'm sure their hub is just around how to get bigger arms, how to get bigger quads, how to get your, triceps, biceps, all that good stuff. And so it's like, is there at least a lead magnet that can kind of like 80-20 get most of those people? Maybe it's not super specific, but clearly they want to get bigger or they want to gain muscle. So if there's some sort of lead magnet there that just speaks to that. And then on the top 10% of your pages, make it hyper relevant. But I find trying to do it for 100% of your pages, you're just going to kill yourself.
Yeah, I chatted with a friend of mine who has a podcast, and a lot of times, you come up with 1 or 2 lead magnets and they're converting good enough and you just leave it. I think you find those examples everywhere. but he came up with, I think, about 15 or 20 lead magnets, different categories, like you said. And through his podcast, he mentions them given a relevant statement, or even if he has a guest on, he's like, oh, I actually have a cheat sheet on this. So if people want more information. So in any given episode, he might mention, 1 to 3 or 4 different lead magnets. And through, a couple hundred episodes, he went from, whatever, a couple dozen opt-ins per week to like hundreds and thousands. And it's just through the compounding and just keep mentioning it. But like you said, he didn't do a new lead magnet for every single thing. And it's overwhelming if you already have, whatever, hundreds or thousands of pages or topics or something, then it's overwhelming. Okay. So once someone opts in and they get their lead magnet or content upgrade, what happens next?
So I typically do a Tripwire funnel, and that essentially they input their email and then they are redirected to a sales page. And then there's also a email sequence that happens at the same time. So it's a 3-part sequence, 24 hours, I think it's 4 hours to 24 hours and then 72 hours. And it's essentially going, gone. So whenever you input your email address, you get this special offer, right? You're redirected to that sales page. This sale is only good for the next 48, 24, 72 hours, whatever you want to put on there. And if they go through the process and buy through that sales page, they don't get that, that email sequence, the going, gone. But if they view that page, but we don't see their email get added to the buyer's list, then they do get that email sequence. That's what I like doing the most, the Tripwire funnel. It's been my favorite so far. It's the most kind of direct way I've found, or like the quickest way, I think is a better word, to monetize your list. And again, if you want to start running paid traffic to it, that's the best way. You run paid traffic to your email, opted, and then that helps offset your ad costs. And if you can just run that at break even, then, you're growing your email list for no money, which is best case scenario.
How much do you charge for Tripwires? Can you give us a range? What's appropriate?
Yeah, I would say I don't like going below $10. I don't think buying decisions really fluctuate between like $0 and $20. So the minimum I would do is about $19.90. I think actually sometimes we drop it to $14.95, but even then we don't see a conversion difference between $14.95 and $19.95. So I would keep it for like B2C hobby stuff. $20 is probably where I'd have it. And then on a B2B or some sort of something to help you build professionally, health, wealth, that would be, $99. I would say as your entry. And then, afterwards you'd be looking at $500. And then for our B2C sites, it's typically $19.95. And then the upsell is around $99. So.
Okay. And if people want to know a little bit more, this is all, this is a standard like sort of marketing funnel, but the terminology we're using is from Digital Marketer. And it was probably like a decade ago when they were putting out a lot of this information. So there's tons of information if you just go look up like Digital Marketer stuff. Is that what you studied originally?
Yeah, John Ainsworth with Data Driven Marketing. I think their website is datadrivenmarketing.co. Their whole business model is helping creators monetize their email list or their websites more, and they kick ass. I love what they're doing over there, and they put really, like everybody I've mentioned, HubSpot, Paintable, I've gotten a lot of those ideas from them. So I would go check them out. Their blog, they're straight to the point, and they're like, this is what's worked. Like, that's it.
Perfect. Yep. And I know I've been on John's show and he's been on my other one. So yeah, super good information. John's great. He's part of the DC too. So
yeah, that's how I know.
Awesome. Okay. So you get the lead magnet. You're automatically trying to sell them something. They do get the free opt-in and part of the Tripwire, you get 2 benefits. You mentioned the first one, which is around offset the ad revenue, or you offset the ad cost to get people to the lead magnet. But also, if someone buys something, they're a customer. So it's a lot
Yep.
more likely for them to convert. And you can see it in the data when you're like, oh, our conversion rate went up by like 30%. And if someone buys a Tripwire, they're like 4 times more likely. I'm just making up that number, but they're more likely to continue buying stuff from you, which is awesome. So any other details around that?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is learn from the mistake that I made initially. Naval, a funny saying where he says, you're doing sales because you suck at marketing, you're doing marketing because you suck at product. And I found myself really good at marketing with these lead magnets where we would tweak the offer, we would tweak, what the form looks like, and we could get those conversions up. But at the end of the day, the lead magnet wasn't that great. And I think that actually hurt us for a few of our sites in the long run because people were less likely to buy because it was like, wow, you promised 10, but you gave me 6. So that is the kind of key suggestions. Don't skip out on it. View it as product. Don't just view it as a way to capture emails.
If your Tripwire isn't converting, how do you troubleshoot that?
So we have actually data-driven marketing on one of their, I'll see if I can find the URL for you. They share a spreadsheet that we just copied, and it's a very detailed spreadsheet and basically shows, okay, lead magnet seen, like how many times was it viewed on your website? How many opt-ins did you get? And then calculates the opt-in rate. And then it's, okay, how many people from that saw, got directed to your Tripwire page? Because actually sometimes people won't make it to your Tripwire page, even though you have it set up just because of, maybe slow load times or just analytic issues. And then you're just tracking every step. You then look at page views on sales and then cart and then order page. And you just keep track of that on a week by week basis. Every single week, we look at those numbers and you just start testing. Like for us, our sales page was converting very poorly at one point, and we removed the price from the sales page and just had it on the order page, and that almost doubled click-through rate. And so then actually we removed the timer one time, and that helped sales as well. Not sales, but just the click-through rate to the order page. So, and I think it's just because it just seemed so inauthentic. It's outplayed. It could be wrong, but I'm guessing that's why it helped.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool. I think it's really hard because you're like, oh, this is going to do great. And then you get it all set up. Well, the other part is the implementation of this. So we're talking about it's like, oh yeah, you get the one-time sale. And then if you get the downs offers and the downgrades and then the upgrade if they do buy and all that kind of stuff. And to quickly note, so like if they do buy the Tripwire, they get an offer for an upsell for something more expensive, like a true product, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So again, people can go and research this because in my head, I know how this funnel works. And if you go to a lot of different, funnel software, or Kajabi does this, right? So it has it all built in and you can jump into a funnel that's already designed for you. But how do you implement it and what tools do you like?
So we've been I started out with ClickFunnels, of course, and then I switched to Funnelish. I didn't see a difference between the two. I switched to Funnelish because I had a guy, when I was living in Bali, he was a good friend of mine, and he was just screaming about how much faster it was. And I was like, yeah, it didn't really improve our sales whatsoever. I guess it's less clunky. So I like using Funnelish right now, but as an MVP, do it with WordPress. Just create a solo page, and you can create these with WordPress and add a shopping cart and get done. But once you want to scale it, Funnelish, and then we use ActiveCampaign and for the email marketing, and then for capturing the emails, we like ConvertBox. The one thing I will say is I absolutely love ConvertBox. $4.95 lifetime deal. I've bought that damn thing 4 or 5 times for different accounts, and it's because Opt-in Monster and these other tools, they just get so expensive. And the fact that ConvertBox lets me do lifetime, I'm in love with it. So Those are the trifecta I've been using.
Okay, cool. And ConvertBox, that's just a little pop-up software.
Yep. Yeah, it's like Opt-in Monster. So you can do like the overlay page, the X intent, slide in from the right, embed forms. You could just get a lot more creative with it than what ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit will let you do with their forms.
I used Opt-in Monster for years and it was great at the price point that I was paying. But then I think it doubled within like 3 years and it worked really well, but the quality of the subscribers was lower. So I was like, I mean, I'm getting more people on, but it's actually, they're not as good and they're opting in because the pop-up is there and the marketing is good, but it's not the right people. So do you run into that? Like, how do you deal with the quality, even if it's like, hey, we're getting subscribers at a very affordable cost, but these are not good?
Yeah, we run into that a lot when we do giveaways, and I've actually really stopped doing giveaways specifically because of that. When we do those, we always make a separate list. Like we do the giveaway, we throw them into a separate list, and then we slowly add them based off who's actually engaging. So yeah, I mean, it's a problem that you run into. The only real time I had a ton of problem with it was giveaways, and we've just stopped doing. But we also have a sequence set up. This is one of those things where you set up one time and completely forget about it. It's just a list cleaning email sequence where I think after 60 or 90 days of inactivity, I'm shooting them an email and saying if they want to stay on the list or not. And that's the two ways that we've kind of found a way to combat that.
And then you just encourage them to click so you could actually track to see what's happening.
Click or reply.
Okay, perfect. We haven't covered too much as far as like automation, I guess an autoresponder that is.
Yeah.
So are they in a sequence? And from different software platforms, they use different terms. So it's autoresponder, an email sequence, but it's emails that are sent after some interval, which you could define. So what do you put into your autoresponder sequence?
So it depends. So for instance, like shitty SEO advice, the newsletter I run, it is as soon as you opt in, you get an email immediately where I ask you to reply to me. Because the number one thing that you want people to do whenever they sign up for your email list, you know this, reply to you so that you don't end up in that damn promotions tab, which is the death of us. So, and to get tactical with that email, don't ask them, make it super simple. Just say, reply yes. Reply no, reply hi. So don't leave it open-ended. Just be like, please just do this one thing. And I like being real with them too. I'm like, listen, please do this for me. You know what it is. We're all marketers here. Just hit yes so that I can be in your main inbox. So my entire welcome series is you sign up. That's the first email you get. That's immediate, right? As soon as you sign up. And then after 24 hours, it's a bit more brand building, where I tell them the background of me, my newsletter, and what they can expect. Here's what you can expect. Every Sunday, you're going to get a newsletter at X, Y, and Z time. And then that's pretty much it for the second welcome email. The third welcome email is me asking questions about them. I have a poll embedded inside the welcome email so they can actually answer, are you a agency? Are you an affiliate marketer? Are you an e-commerce? And that just helps me better understand my audience. I'll go back in there and review it once a month. And again, you're not only getting that information on your audience, but they're clicking. That's a form that's embedded with Beehive. And so whenever they click, it signals to Gmail and the email service providers that it's good. So that's my entire welcome series. Now, again, when we're trying to sell a product and it's one of our content sites, that or the e-com site that I did this heavily on, it was going, gone. So the e-com site was 10% off, and then it was actually like a 68-day welcome series, just all about brand. And I think it could have been optimized, but really what I like to see is the discount and then some sort of going, gone. And then a poll asking people, even for e-commerce brands, right? This is great. If we go back to Gymshark and within your welcome series, you have a poll, you can figure out what size they are. You can figure out, are they male or female? figure out, a bunch of information about them so that you can better segment them into specific lists.
Right. How many emails do you have in your sequence specifically? Because obviously, like the 68-day is pretty long, overkill. Like that's actually hard to do maintenance on. So yeah, for like shitty SEO advice.
Yeah, that's just a 4 email sequence. Super simple. I actually keep those those are super simple. I haven't gone in depth with those. Even our the fishing website where we do quite a bit of email marketing, I think that is a 14-day sequence, but even then it's not super in depth, to be honest with you. It's that going, gone, and then a welcome series as well. And between the going, gone, that takes about 72 hours, 3 emails, and then the welcome series is about 7 emails and another 14 days or 10 days, something along those lines. Again, the welcome series is pretty universal, whether it's shitty SEO advice or an e-com brand, trying to get people to reply to you, telling them about your brand, what to expect, getting them to move you from promotions to primary, and then trying to get some just data on your audience and see who's subscribed to your list.
Well, we need to move on to the next topic, which is link building, but I want to give you a chance to mention anything else that's super important with your approach to email marketing before we move on. So if you want to close out that section, if we missed anything, if I didn't ask you something that I should have, let us know now.
I think the only 2 things I would touch on again is remember that your lead magnet is product. It's not just a way to get, people on your list. They will either, they could potentially hate your brand if your lead magnet sucks, but you told them it was going to be revolutionary. And then the second part I would say is data tracking. That, like I said, that spreadsheet that we have, we live and die by it because there's so many small tweaks and changes that you can make, and you just got to have all the information in front of you so that you can actually review the data and see what helped, because there's so many theories in terms of what's going. It's the same with SEO, right? We have all of these theories, but at the end of the day, I'm not too concerned about your theory. I'm concerned about testing it out and seeing what actually is working. But the only way for me to be able to test that out is having a spreadsheet, having data, implementing it, noting down what the hell I implemented, and then seeing if it hurt or improved conversion rates.
And it's so hard to know because maybe the best practices are not working and you have to try something weird that should not work. But then for some reason, the combination of your lead magnet, the audience, where they came from, for some reason it converts better. And sometimes it'll surprise you. Usually not, but sometimes it will.
Yep, 100%. Like in the case of when we switched from ClickFunnels to Funnelish, and Funnelish was definitely faster, I just didn't see that much of a conversion. I sure as heck didn't see a conversion rate increase that justified the hours spent to change over to it.
Right. Right. I understand that. Thanks for checking out this episode, and thanks to Alex Horsman for sharing his story. If you liked it, be sure to check out part 2 about link building, and we'll link up to all of Alex's blogs and social and all that stuff so you could follow him and connect otherwise. By the way, if you dig the show, make sure you're subscribed so you get new episodes out there whenever they publish. And if you have a minute, please leave a review. It really does help out. It helps other people find the show. And if you have a chance, download all the episodes. That also sends a good sign algorithmically to the directories and the players out there. So it might be surfaced so other people could find the show as well.